I'm not going to mess around with the intro. You've seen the title. Let's do some pay-per-view main and co-mains for next year, starting with UFC 297. I don't think Volkanovski should fight in January for two reasons. One, he just got chinned, and two, he wasn't sounding great in that press conference mentally. Yes, he wants to stay active, but if I was the UFC, I would 100% say to him, look, you need to get that sorted out. So I say you do Volk versus Ilya for an interim title. And the co-main, I was going back and forwards on this. Yes, there's been talk about Cejudo being retired, but I don't think he is. I say you do him against Merab. The winner obviously gets the title shot. I think it will be a 5-rounder, but if I'm Cejudo, I'm pushing for a 3, because over 5, I'd pick Merab. UFC 298 in Houston, main event, Sean Strickland versus DDP. Co-main event, Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. Now, I know Hamzat was told he'd get a title shot, but even if he does, his hand is fucked right now. So I say you give it to its rightful owner, Indricus, and the winner can fight Hamzat, in my opinion. And the co-main, I mean, it should be in China, but it's not in China, so whack it on this card, why not? UFC 299 in Arizona in March. Main event, Sean O'Malley against Marlon Vera. Now, I don't think Marlon deserves a shot. I'm trying to make this realistic, though, and it looks like he's going to get it. It's an interesting build-up. It'll be a good fight. I'm not complaining. And the co-main, I was thinking, maybe not a title bout, so that's why I think you do a rematch of Jared Cannonier against Robert Whittaker. Now, I know that Cannonier has a win over the champion, and I know that Whittaker is off of a loss. But if you look at the middleweight division, there's not much in that kind of 8 to 10, maybe 6 to 7 range for me that really interests either of these guys. I know that Cannonier is supposed to be fighting Dolidze at the end of the year. I have a funny feeling that fight won't happen and this one will be booked instead. Don't ask me why. Anyway, let's move on. Right then, you cannot tell me that this is not perfect. It is. I'm bloody happy I thought of this, because as soon as I did, it went straight in the video. Obviously, massive event, UFC 300 Las Vegas in April. Main event has to be the return of Conor against Chandler. The co-main is where I'm happy though. The co-main, welterweight debut for Dustin Poirier against Gilbert Burns. Now, number one, that is an unbelievable fight, especially over 5 rounds. And 2, it's literally Conor and Dustin on the same stage. And Chandler and Dustin had a little bit as well. It's perfect. No more needs to be said. Let's move on. UFC 301, May of next year. Let's go back to Brazil for Islam Charles 2. Now, everything Oliveira has done in the last 3 or 4 years, he's earned the right to fight in front of a crowd, fuck the Kevin Lee bullshit, in Brazil. He's definitely earned that right. I don't think he wins, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I love him, but he won't beat Islam, I'm not going to lie. So that's the main event. The co-main, I got a bone to pick with you, Cyril Gane, mate. You started to piss me off. So all you do is fight in France, and you think after one win you get another title shot. No, mate. Enjoy Jailton Almeida, dude. After he beats Derek Lewis, he'll be in the top 10. Enjoy yourself, mate. Over 3 rounds as well, so Gane can't piece him up. Almeida's going to smoke him. I got a real issue with Cyril Gane, so I'm kind of feeding him to Almeida, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, that's the May card. Okay, so I'm going to start with a co-main here. Originally, I was thinking Arnold Allen, Brian Ortega, but at this point, Ortega can just get in a bin. He does my nutting as well. But I think Moicano versus Pimblett is a good co-main. Yes, I know that Pimblett's going to smash Ferguson, and it's sad, but it's going to happen. And Moicano loves a pound note, and he'll get a few for this. Even though I do think that Pimblett's name value has dropped, it's still high enough to co-main a London pay-per-view. 100%. And the main event, Leon's back after he smashes Colby. And he's fighting Bilal Muhammad, which is a shame. He kind of fights like my granddad after a couple of doom bars. He's fucking horrible to watch, but he's earned his title shot and it will finally shut his big old mouth up about it. So that's the June card. Right then, on to July. It's UFC 303. I think they go to Miami and the headliner will be Alex Pereira against Jamal Hill. Now, I mean, the elephant in the room is I do think he's going to beat Yuri in November, because I just think Yuri's too open and I think Alex will find the shot. And Jamal Hill 100% should fight for a title on his return. I'm not sure if he will. This is not 100%. However, it's my video, so I'm going to say it. And the co-main, I'm going to do the vacant bantamweight title between Pena and Pennington. Right. 135 is a little bit fucked at the moment. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like heavyweight after Jones left. I feel like somebody needs to take the reins. I don't think it'll be either of these two, if I'm honest. I don't think they're particularly brilliant fighters, but they are the number 1 and 2 in the division, and they should fight for the vacant title. So That's why I'm going to put them here. UFC 304, August of next year, in Salt Lake City, Utah, main event. I'm going to say that DDP beats Strickland and his first defence will be against Khamzat. Okay, so I don't think Khamzat has earned it, but it looks like he's going to get it. So I'm trying to be as realistic as I can here. And it's in Salt Lake City, so, you know, Khamzat may gas that anyway. Yeah, and the co-main, right. It looks a bit weird on paper, I understand, but I'm just trying to have some fun here at the same time, you lot. And I think with Diaz, there's not a lot else he can really do. In boxing in particular, I don't see where in boxing he can make as much of a splash and as much cash, a rhyme there, as a return to the UFC. And I think if he can beat Kevin Holland over 5 rounds, which, again, in Utah, you know, the cardio, he can weaponise it, there's an opportunity there. Yeah, it sounded good on paper, so I thought, fuck it, I'm going to put it in the video. So, August pay-per-view, let's move on. Let's go back to Australia in September. Main event of Volkanovski versus Ilya. Now, I think Volkanovski needs help. That was a really worrying post-fight interview from him, and I think the UFC have to take care of him and say, look, mate, it's about time you took some real time off and some time to get your head right, because if he doesn't and he goes in too early, it's only going to end badly for him, long-term in his career as well. So, the Ilya Max fight is an interesting one, like I said earlier. The fact it's 5 rounds, maybe Max can pull it off. However, I do think that Ilya will win. Probably by submission is the pick I'd go for in the co-main. Adesanya against Costa 2. Now, yes, the first fight wasn't particularly competitive, but if you look at middleweight, there's kind of not really a lot of other options. He's already beat everybody else at least once, so it's hard. I was thinking about maybe even whacking him up at 205 against like a Johnny Walker or something, but I thought I would keep him at middleweight. I'm against a guy that, yes, he's already beaten, but those two is just complete comedy gold on stage. It'd be brilliant to watch. And if Costa can beat, I don't know, like a Roman Dolidze or a Jack Manson or somebody around there, in the meantime, he might have a chance against Adesanya. I mean, might be a little bit vulnerable, who knows, but it's an interesting one. On paper, they both are, so that's the September card. UFC 306, October next year. It has to be back to Fight Island, right? I mean, it looks like October is kind of the Fight Island slot these days. A Makhachev-Gaethje lightweight title, boom, done. Now, it would have been over a year since Gaethje's last fight against Poirier, but he's not been particularly active of recent anyway, so I don't think that will really affect him too much. In the co-main, I was thinking about maybe having this on the Brazil card earlier in the video, but I think Albazi is kind of from that part of the world. It's a bit closer to home for him, like geographically. And I think that Pantoja may have some problems against Royval. He may have an injury or two after that fight. I don't know, but no. In terms of a Fight Island main and co-main, I think this is pretty good. So that's what I'm going to go with. Next November at MSG, let's have a unification bout of the heavyweight title. John Jones against Tom Aspinall. Now, it could be Pavlovich, 100%. I believe he is the favourite, and I can kind of see why, because he's a fucking madman. But I might be biased, but I think Aspinall's going to smoke him and submit him. But hey, who knows? We'll see. In the co-main event, it kind of makes sense, you know, the fact it's in NYC to have the Aaron Blanchfield against Grasso fight for the flyweight title on this card. I mean, I think that just makes perfect sense. I think that'd be a good fight as well, because I think that Grasso's grappling and Blanchfield's striking are on quite similar levels. Of course, they're obviously better in the alternate discipline, but yeah, that's a good stylistic one, as of course is Jones Aspinall. That's an unbelievable fight. But also, Jones against Pavlovich is interesting as well. But I'm going with Aspinall. He's going to smoke him. Let's go, Tom. On to December. I'm ashamed of myself. I've literally given fucking Bilal Muhammad and Merab a title shot in the same year. This is blasphemy. But I do think he's going to beat Cejudo in Canada in January, so he kind of earns a shot from that. In terms of the fight, I really hate saying this, but I think he might beat O'Malley. O'Malley doesn't like forward pressure. Aljo did not put enough on him. That's how he found a shot. I mean, Jan gave him so many issues with just forward pressure, and he was able to take him down. I'm not saying that Merab can take people down. He's a hug merchant, but that forward pressure is a massive weapon of his. With his great cardio, which may or may not be natural, if you know what I mean, but he still got it. So yeah, that's the main event. Co-main, okay. Again, I'm not sure if you're going to like this one very much. It's a bit of a wild shout from me. But first of all, I do think that Colby loses against Leon. And I think that Burns will beat Dustin Poirier at 300 earlier in the year. They don't like each other. I think Burns has called him out twice now after fights. So it kind of makes sense there. And yeah, over 5 rounds, give me that all day long. And there you have it, beautiful people. That is my main and co-main event predictions for 2024, the whole year. So let me know in the comments what you thought. Whack me some video ideas. I'm here to stay now. I'm not going to fuck off again. So yeah, let me know. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.